What are the major differences between green-cheeked conures and crimson bellies? Let's find out together in this video. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm David and today we are comparing green-cheeked conures to crimson-bellied conures. Crimson-bellied conures are becoming increasingly popular and I want to give people who are comparing the two, wondering which one they should get, a nice comparison because it's something that does crop up an awful lot. We have 2 crimson bellies and we have 4 green cheeks. So from a personal perspective, we know quite a lot about them, but we also talked to loads of other crimson and green cheek owners. So this isn't just our information, it's a consensus basically. So let's start off with something really obvious, and that's how they appear. Green-cheeked conures are a little bit smaller than crimson bellies. Crimson bellies tend to weigh around 10 grams more, average weight between 75 and 90 for a crimson belly, where a green cheek's lower end is 65 all the way up to 85, depending on it. When they're 85, they're quite big, by the way. So there is a bit of a size difference between the two of them. Also their appearance. Obviously green cheeks have that lovely green cheek, but crimsons have that amazing crimson belly, and a lot of prospective new bird owners see that and think, oh my god, isn't that amazing? I've even had silly comments on TikTok and other places saying, oh well, you just photoshopped a green cheek. No, crimson bellies are a completely different type of conure. They're both striking in their own ways. Green cheeks come in amazing colour variations, tongue tied there, and crimson bellies obviously have their patterning. Crimson bellies tend to be less varied in their colours. They tend to have a sort of very fixed type of colour, which is the crimson belly, but you do notice some differences in the colorations of their wings and the tones of green they have on their backs. Another place I want to talk about comparison is their diet. Crimson bellies and green cheeks generally eat very similar things because they are from a similar part of the world. With a crimson belly, you may find they're a little bit more sweet-beaked than green cheeks because green cheeks are very sweet-beaked and crimsons tend to love their sweet flavours. They also tend to like nuts a lot. And these are kind of anecdotal things. I've looked at the sort of wild specs and they eat all sorts there. But from what our experiences and a lot of other owners' experiences, nuts and sweet things tend to be a crimson's favourite. Whereas with green cheeks, you tend to find seeds can be a favourite, but you do have that sweets and nuts as well. Now let's talk about sounds. So when it comes to vocalizations, they are very different. You wouldn't think it because they look so similar and in some ways behave very similarly, but a green cheek vocalization and their kind of green cheek language is very different to a crimson belly's. With a crimson belly, you'll find they have this very piercing alarm call, it's repetitive. You'll also find that they pick up sounds a lot better than green cheeks and speak a lot more. But with the green cheeks, I don't know, there's so much different variations in their sounds, whereas crimson bellies tend to be more static in their common sounds. But then you have that lovely speech pattern where they just talk and talk. Both our crimson bellies, Charlie and Kipling, have learned to talk so much. But one thing I've noticed massively is the volume level. Green cheeks can be loud, but when crimsons want to be loud, my goodness, they can be exceptionally loud. They're again marketed a lot, mismarketed online as being quiet, even-tempered, we'll talk about that later. But when they want to scream, oh my goodness, it is much more piercing than the green cheeks. I would say it's getting towards the level of a sun conure. If you have one of them, you know how loud they are. But generally, they have their own unique sets of vocalizations. But if you want a quieter bird, I'd probably steer towards a green cheek because the crimsons, my goodness. Now let's talk a little bit about their personalities. Now, as a very big generality, crimson bellies tend to be a lot more erratic, a lot more, I hate to use the word, but it's the easiest one I can think of, unstable than green cheeks. For me, green cheeks are a lot more predictable in their behaviour patterns and they're a lot less prone to erratic behaviour. Now this is a species trait of crimson bellies I've noticed, and if you haven't seen my crimson belly guides and videos, I'd highly recommend you watch them if you're considering getting one. They are so exceptionally intelligent, exceptionally funny, exceptionally cute, but that comes with the downsides of they're very highly strung as a general rule and they can go from 0 to 100 very quickly. Overstimulation is a major problem with them. A lot of owners report this. A lot of breeders will report that they're calm, placid and lovely. Maybe when they're children, babies, it's fine. When they get older and they hit the hormonal stage, it becomes problematic. Even Charlie, who had a really great home in his last environment, has these traits, and every crimson tends to have these traits. And the amount of videos and people agreeing with what I've said in my videos, it's just crazy. So if you're getting a crimson belly, be prepared for it. If you can accept this erratic personality, if you can accept you're going to have to be more careful and do a lot more hands-on training, fine. Otherwise, if you're looking for a bird that may have some problems, they all have their own unique personalities and individual traits, but generally isn't going to be quite as 0 to 100, and the green cheeks are a much better choice. They tend to have a much more stable temperament. They do have their moments, and especially, you know, individual temperaments and the environment will play a major part in this. But from personal experience, green cheeks are so much easier to train to handle than crimsons. And I'm sorry if anyone's disagreeing with me here, but yeah, green cheeks are much more even tempered, and while, as I said, crimsons have these amazing personality aspects, green cheeks have lots of them too. Let's talk about beak strength. Now, crimsons have a slightly bigger beak and stockier beak than green cheeks because they're slightly larger. But here's the thing with them, they can both do a lot of damage with their beaks. Green cheeks may be smaller, may have a smaller beak, but if they want to hurt you, they're going to. So do be aware of that beak strength. Those beaks are designed to crack nuts, they're designed to crack shells, so they can do a lot of damage to your fingers. So it's best to train them how to use them softly when they're younger and do lots of soft targeting, target training, generally get them used to interacting in a soft manner. But yeah, they're both very strong. They both tend to like easily shreddable toys. However, some of them will enjoy hardwoods as well. It all depends on your individual bird and what sort of training and their learning history they have. The more training you do with them, the more they're going to interact with more toys and enjoy them. Now here's something that I found very interesting, because obviously we've got green cheeks and crimsons. Green cheeks and crimsons interact and bond very well together. Crimson bellies can be bullyish and a bit boisterous when it comes to interacting with green cheeks, but often green cheeks will stand their ground. But they get on exceptionally well. We have 2 bonded pairs of green cheek crimsons. They get on perfectly well, they share the same cage space, there's no real issues between them. Sometimes actually you see more issues between crimsons and crimsons than you see between crimsons and green cheeks. So if you do have a crimson, you can get a green cheek companion for them, and vice versa, as long as you do all the proper bonding work. That's one thing that's really excellent about the 2 species. They interact very well together, purely because their size is kind of similar, even though one's slightly bigger, and even though their temperaments are slightly different, they just seem to get on really well. We've seen it so many times, and it's quite rewarding to see different conure species getting on so well and thriving in the same environment. So as a quick summary, they are similar in many ways, but they're also very different in others, including their personalities and their physicality. Do keep that in mind when you're comparing them or considering them as a pet or as part of an aviary environment. You really do have to do your research on this, and people get bored of hearing that, but it's very true. This is just a quick guide based on my opinion and some various facts, but do lots of research and look at other people's opinions too, because the more information you get, the better. Now, it's well worth watching my green cheek and crimson guide if you haven't already. There's loads more information, but in the meantime, take care and see you later.